Beloved, within you is a silent servant, tireless, obedient, and unfailing. This servant never questions, never debates, never resists. It only obeys. It is your subconscious mind. And today, I tell you the truth. There is a single command that can rewire it, reshape it, and redirect the entire current of your life. Too long have you spoken words of defeat and wondered why defeat followed. Too long have you commanded lack and reaped emptiness. Your subconscious is not cruel. It is not unjust. It is perfectly just, perfectly faithful. Whatever you tell it, it takes as law, and it builds your world accordingly. Every word you speak is a command. Every thought you dwell upon is a decree. Speak in fear, and fear multiplies. Speak in faith, and faith blossoms. The subconscious is the fertile soil, and your words are the seeds. You cannot plant thorns and expect roses. You cannot speak doubt and expect victory. But hear this, you need not struggle, you need not plead. The power lies in a single command, spoken with faith, repeated with certainty, and felt with conviction. That command is the truth that overrides every false belief. It is the declaration, I am aligned with the highest good. I live in abundance, health, peace, and victory. When this command becomes the dominant decree of your inner world, your subconscious has no choice but to obey. Do not say, I am sick, for the servant hears and obeys. Say, I am whole. Do not say, I am poor, for the servant hears and obeys. Say, I am provided for in every way. Do not cry, I am afraid, for fear engraves chains upon the subconscious. Instead, declare, I am fearless, for I walk in truth. Repetition engraves the command deeper. Emotion fuels it with power. Expectation swings wide the gates of manifestation. Align your words, your feelings, and your faith, and the subconscious moves heaven and earth to bring your decree into being. You do not fight darkness. You command light. You do not struggle against lack. You command supply. You do not wrestle with fear. You command courage. The law of the subconscious is simple. What you decree in truth, it must obey. So today, I say to you, choose your words as treasures, guard your thoughts as jewels, and give your subconscious the single command of victory. Let it hear nothing but abundance, health, love, and faith. Repeat it, feel it, expect it, and watch as your inner command transforms your outer world. For life is not governed by chance, but by command. And the command that rewires your subconscious will rewrite the story of your destiny. Speak it, believe it, and live it. The subconscious mind is the most faithful servant you will ever know, for it obeys every command that passes through the gateway of thought, word, or feeling. It does not argue, it does not question, and it does not debate. It does not ask whether your command is wise or foolish, beneficial or destructive. Its nature is obedience, and it reflects back to you in the outer world whatever has been impressed upon it within. When you understand this truth, you awaken to the realization that you are never the victim of circumstances, but rather the master of the commands you give to your inner servant. Consider the way a servant in an ancient palace responded to the word of the master. When told to bring water, the servant did not ask why. When ordered to prepare a feast, the servant did not question whether such a thing was possible. The master spoke, and the servant acted. So it is with your subconscious mind. It is the tireless worker that takes every instruction you give and builds your life upon it, brick by brick, moment by moment. When you speak words of fear, your subconscious rushes to construct experiences that match fear. When you affirm words of faith, it builds bridges to opportunity, health, and peace. The law is unwavering. The subconscious mind obeys. This is why careless words and idle thoughts are not harmless. Each one is a command issued to a servant that never sleeps. The subconscious is always listening, always recording, always carrying out. If you say to yourself, I can't, it obeys and closes the door. If you declare, I am capable, it moves unseen forces to bring ability and strength to the surface. If you continually repeat, I am unlucky, it arranges conditions to fulfill that decree. If you affirm, I am blessed, the servant works night and day to gather evidence of your blessings. The subconscious mind does not interpret irony, sarcasm, or half-belief. It takes everything literally. Say, I'm dying of laughter, often enough, and your servant does not hear the humor. It hears death. Speak of being broke, in jest, and the subconscious accepts that as your chosen identity. Words are not playthings. They are the commands you feed into the engine of creation, and the subconscious carries them out with perfect loyalty. This obedience is not a curse, but the greatest gift you possess, for once you master your speech and your thought, you can direct the servant toward abundance instead of lack, health instead of illness, joy instead of despair. The subconscious mind is like fertile soil. Whatever seed is dropped into it will grow. It does not choose which seed to favor. It does not prefer flowers over weeds. If you plant roses, roses bloom. If you plant thorns, thorns appear. The soil does not decide. The gardener decides, and you are the gardener of your own inner field. To live in harmony with this truth, you must take authority over your words and your inner dialogue. Treat them as royal decrees, for that is what they are. Never speak defeat, for the servant hears and obeys. Never speak sickness, for the servant hears and obeys. Never speak fear, for the servant hears and obeys. Instead, speak victory, health, peace, and courage, for those two will be carried out with exactness. The subconscious is not partial, it is not selective, it is obedient. And it will remain your loyal servant all the days of your life, shaping your world according to the commands you choose to give. Words are not mere sounds that pass quickly through the air. They are seeds, carrying within them the power to shape and design the very fabric of your destiny. Every word you utter is planted into the fertile ground of the subconscious mind, and like seeds in a field, they germinate, grow, and eventually manifest into the visible conditions of your life. Whether those seeds are seeds of abundance or seeds of lack depends entirely on the nature of the words you choose. For the subconscious does not judge or discriminate. It simply accepts every word as a decree, watering it with the energy of your emotions and multiplying it until it bears fruit in your reality. Consider how a gardener approaches his field. He knows that the ground will accept whatever seed is planted, whether it be wheat or weeds. If he sows wheat, he expects a harvest of wheat. If he neglects his field or allows thorns to take root, then thorns will surely overrun it. So it is with your words. Speak words of truth, faith, and abundance, and you plant seeds that must bring forth prosperity, joy, and peace. Speak words of doubt, fear, or bitterness, and you plant seeds that will grow into disappointment, confusion, and struggle. The harvest is never unjust, for the subconscious mind yields exactly what has been sown. When you declare, I am strong, the seed of strength is planted, and the subconscious goes to work to build strength into your body, your thoughts, and your circumstances. When you say, I am weak, that too becomes a seed, and weakness begins to appear in your life. When you affirm, I always succeed, opportunities begin aligning with your steps. When you murmur, nothing ever works out for me, your subconscious arranges events to prove that statement true. The ground does not argue, it simply brings forth after its kind. Words spoken with emotion are seeds watered and fertilized. They carry a potency that accelerates growth. A casual thought may pass unnoticed, but a word charged with anger, fear, or joy strikes deep into the soil of the subconscious and takes firm root. This is why words spoken in moments of passion are so powerful, for they reach the depths of the mind that logic and reason cannot touch. To speak faith with feeling is to plant seeds destined for a rich harvest. To speak fear with dread is to plant seeds that bear thorns and entanglements. Even idle words are not without power. Every jest about failure, every careless declaration of poverty, every casual remark about sickness is a seed scattered upon the soil. Many people unknowingly plant crops of weeds by speaking thoughtlessly, only to wonder later why their lives are overrun with struggle. Yet the remedy is not difficult. As the farmer can clear his field and plant anew, so can you cleanse the garden of your mind by speaking new words, words of life, love, and truth. With persistence, the weeds are uprooted, and a new harvest begins to grow. Therefore, guard your words as you would guard precious seed. Choose them with intention, for they hold the design of your future. Speak only those words you desire to see manifest. If you long for peace, let peace be upon your lips. If you long for abundance, declare abundance in all you do. If you long for love, speak love in every season. For the law is certain, your words are seeds of destiny, and whatever you sow with your tongue, you shall reap in your life. The subconscious mind is most powerfully moved not by scattered wishes or conflicting thoughts, but by a single command that is spoken in alignment with truth, faith, and expectation. Alignment is the key that unlocks the full obedience of this inner servant. When the conscious mind speaks one thing while the heart feels another, the command is divided, and the subconscious receives mixed instructions. One moment it is told to build abundance, and the next it is told to prepare for lack. One moment it is instructed to carry out courage, and the next it is given fear. Just as a servant cannot obey two masters at once, the subconscious cannot respond with full force to divided commands. It waits instead for the single, clear voice of authority that speaks without contradiction, the command of alignment. Alignment means that your thoughts, your words, your feelings, and your expectations all agree. It is not enough to speak words of success while secretly fearing failure. It is not enough to affirm health while continuing to imagine sickness. The subconscious listens not only to words, but also to the emotion and belief behind them. The true command is not what you say once with your lips, but what you declare consistently with your whole being. When word and feeling are aligned, the subconscious has no choice but to obey, for it recognizes the command as law. This is why many people wonder why their affirmations do not bear fruit. They speak words of truth, but within they carry doubt or disbelief. They declare abundance, but they expect struggle. They affirm love, but they rehearse bitterness. The subconscious receives two sets of instructions and becomes divided in its work, producing little or no result. But when a person comes into alignment, when the words spoken, the emotion felt, and the expectation held are all one, then the subconscious responds like lightning, swiftly and unfailingly. The single command of alignment is like striking a clear tone on a tuning fork. Every fiber of your being begins to vibrate in harmony with that tone, and your subconscious acts as the amplifier, sending that vibration into the unseen until it shapes visible results. To say, I am at peace, and to feel peace in the heart, and to expect peace in daily affairs, that is alignment. To say, I am prospered, and to feel gratitude as though it were already done, and to expect provision with confidence, that is alignment. The subconscious, receiving such a unified decree, goes forth to rearrange circumstances, open doors, and guide you into experiences that match the command. Alignment is not born of willpower or striving, but of choosing the highest truth and holding to it with faith. It is not the effort of forcing belief, but the surrender of releasing doubt. It is to let your words become a mirror of divine order, your feelings a song of gratitude, and your expectation a steady gaze upon the good that is surely unfolding. In that harmony, the command carries authority, and the subconscious responds with unfailing obedience. Therefore, Guard against divided speech and inner contradiction. Let your command be single, unified, and filled with faith. Speak only that which you are willing to see manifest, feel it as though it were already yours, expect it as certain as the dawn. This is the single command of alignment, and when it is spoken, your subconscious rises in obedience, reshaping your world according to the truth you have chosen. Fear and faith are both powerful commands to the subconscious mind, yet they move it in opposite directions. Fear whispers of danger, lack, and failure, and the subconscious, ever obedient, sets about creating conditions that reflect those dark expectations. Faith, on the other hand, speaks of safety, abundance, and victory, and the subconscious responds by opening pathways where none seemed possible. Both fear and faith are forms of belief, both carry emotion, and both impress themselves deeply upon the inner servant. The difference lies only in what they command. Fear enslaves, faith liberates. Fear binds, faith releases. Fear builds prisons of limitation. Faith builds bridges of possibility. The subconscious mind is like a fertile field, ready to grow whatever seed is planted. Fear plants seeds of weeds and thorns, and the field produces a harvest of trouble. Faith plants seeds of light and truth, and the field blossoms with abundance and peace. The soil does not judge the seed, it simply brings forth after its kind. So when a person speaks continually of dread, saying, "I might lose my job," "I may fall ill," or "something bad is surely coming," those words, charged with the emotion of fear, sink deep into the subconscious, and soon outer life echoes back the very conditions dreaded. The servant is not cruel, it is obedient. It simply fulfills the command it has received. Yet faith, spoken with confidence and feeling, works the same way but with life, giving results. To say, "I am provided for, I am protected, I am guided into success," and to feel those words as living truth is to impress upon the subconscious a command that must manifest. Faith does not deny difficulty, it simply affirms a higher reality. Faith speaks to the mountain and declares it moved. Faith looks at the storm and declares peace. Faith acknowledges appearances but calls forth divine order behind them. The subconscious, receiving such a bold decree, aligns unseen forces and rearranges circumstances until what was spoken becomes visible. Many people unknowingly give fear greater authority than faith, thinking fear is merely a natural reaction. But every time fear is entertained, it becomes a command. The subconscious does not recognize the difference between a warning and a decree. It hears only the content and the emotion. This is why dwelling on fear is dangerous. It continually reinforces the very outcome you wish to avoid. The remedy is to replace fear with faith, not by struggling against fear, but by speaking and feeling words of truth until they take deeper root. Just as light effortlessly dissolves darkness, faith effortlessly dissolves fear. When fear arises, it is an opportunity to issue a higher command. Instead of repeating the story of what could go wrong, declare what must go right. Instead of picturing disaster, envision safety. Instead of expecting loss, affirm gain. The subconscious will obey whichever voice is strongest. If the voice of fear dominates, the results will be bitter. If the voice of faith resounds with conviction, the results will be sweet. You are always commanding your subconscious, either with fear or with faith. Choose the higher command, and the obedient servant within will bring forth a life aligned with victory, abundance, and peace. Repetition is the golden tool by which the subconscious mind is reprogrammed, for what you repeat with consistency becomes the pattern it accepts as truth. The subconscious does not change by a single passing thought, nor is it transformed by a casual word spoken once and forgotten. It is molded by persistence, by the steady drumbeat of affirmation, by the constant planting of the same seed until it takes root so deeply that no wind of doubt can uproot it. Just as water wears away stone through continual flow, repetition engraves new instructions upon the inner servant until it can no longer obey the old command. Think of a path across a field. When you walk it once, the grass springs back and the trail disappears. But walk it again and again, day after day, and soon the ground is pressed down, the way is clear, and the path becomes permanent. So it is with your words and thoughts. A single statement of faith may inspire for a moment, but repetition of that faith engraves it into the subconscious as law. Repeated commands become the highways along which your inner servant moves, guiding you naturally toward the experiences that align with what you have spoken. This is why so many live bound by negative cycles. They have repeated the same words of defeat, the same complaints, the same doubts for years. I never get ahead. Nothing ever works for me. I'm always unlucky. These statements, spoken again and again, have become engravings on the subconscious, and the servant has had no choice but to obey them. The outer life reflects the inner record that repetition has written. But the good news is that just as the subconscious was programmed through repetition, it can be reprogrammed the same way. The old record can be overwritten by a new song, one of faith, abundance, health, and victory. When you affirm daily, I am blessed, I am strong, I am guided, I am prospered, and you do so not once but continually, the subconscious begins to erase the old engravings and replace them with the new. At first it may feel strange, even untrue, but repetition carves a new path, and soon the subconscious accepts the command as its governing law. And once the subconscious accepts it, life must begin to rearrange itself to prove the command true. Emotion, when added to repetition, accelerates the process. A command spoken with joy, gratitude, and conviction leaves a deeper impression than one spoken mechanically. To feel the words as you repeat them is to press them more firmly into the inner soil. Over time, they become second nature, and the subconscious, ever obedient, shapes your habits, attitudes, and circumstances accordingly. Repetition does not mean striving or forcing. It means consistency. It means returning again and again to the truth you have chosen, refusing to give voice to contradiction. It is like training a servant by continually giving the same instruction until it becomes automatic. In this way, the subconscious learns a new command, and your life takes on a new direction. What you repeat, you program. What you program, you live. The key lies not in one great moment of declaration, but in the steady rhythm of repetition that reprograms the servant within. Emotion is the fire that gives life to every command spoken to the subconscious mind. Words without feeling may pass unnoticed, but words charged with emotion strike deep into the inner servant and leave an impression that cannot easily be erased. The subconscious responds most powerfully when the command is alive with energy, when the voice of the heart matches the words of the lips. Just as a seed grows faster when watered and warmed by the sun, so too do commands grow quickly when they are nourished with emotion. Without it, a statement may remain a mere surface thought. With it, the same statement becomes a decree written in fire upon the mind. This is why moments of great passion leave such lasting imprints. Words spoken in anger can wound for years because they entered the subconscious charged with intense feeling. Likewise, words spoken in love can comfort and inspire long after they are heard because they carried the vibration of deep affection. The subconscious does not analyze whether the emotion is positive or negative. It simply records the intensity and moves to fulfill it. Fear-laden words carry great power because they are spoken with such strong feeling, but so too do faith-filled words when declared with joy, gratitude, and conviction. The subconscious obeys whichever emotion is most deeply impressed upon it. If you declare, "I am prosperous," but do so without any feeling, the subconscious may receive it only faintly. But if you speak the same words with gratitude, as though the abundance were already present, then the command becomes magnetic. The subconscious feels the energy and begins to shape experiences to match it. If you affirm, "I am healthy," yet speak mechanically, the impact is shallow. But if you speak it with joy, imagining vitality flowing through every part of your being, the subconscious takes it as truth and begins the work of aligning body and mind to that declaration. Emotion is the fuel that powers the engine of manifestation. Just as a car cannot move without gasoline, a command without feeling carries little force. Yet a command spoken with the fire of belief can cross any distance and break through any barrier. The subconscious is moved by sincerity, by depth, by the vibration of the heart behind the words. This is why gratitude is so powerful, for it floods every affirmation with genuine emotion. To say, "Thank you that my needs are supplied," with true feeling, is to engrave the command upon the subconscious with unshakable certainty. The key is not to force emotion, but to awaken it. Picture the outcome you desire as already real, and let the joy of it fill you. Speak your command with that joy alive in your heart, and the subconscious will take it as law. Align your words with gratitude, with faith, with love, and they become unstoppable. For the subconscious is not swayed by empty repetition alone, but by the repetition that is charged with feeling. When emotion fuels your command, the obedient servant within is compelled to act, shaping your life according to the truth you have spoken with fire. The subconscious mind cannot hold on to two opposing ideas at the same time. One must give way to the other. This is the essence of the law of substitution. You do not fight darkness to make it disappear. You simply turn on the light, and the darkness vanishes of its own accord. You do not struggle against fear to remove it. You replace it with faith, and fear dissolves. You do not wrestle endlessly with lack. You affirm abundance, and lack fades into nothing. The law is simple but profound. What you dwell upon in thought and word will occupy the subconscious, and what you refuse to dwell upon will wither away. Too many people spend their lives in battle with their own minds, trying to resist negative thoughts, trying to push away worry, trying to silence doubt by sheer will. But resistance only feeds the very thing they wish to destroy. The subconscious does not understand denial. To say, "I will not fail," still plants the seed of failure. To say, "I do not want sickness," still engraves the image of sickness. The mind does not hear the negation, it hears the picture. This is why the law of substitution is so liberating. You need not fight the old thought. You simply introduce a higher one, and the old must yield. If you catch yourself saying, "I am afraid," do not attempt to erase it by repeating, "I will not fear." Instead, substitute, "I am fearless," "I am safe," "I am guided." If you find yourself thinking, "I am always unlucky," do not argue with the thought. Replace it, "I am blessed, I am favored, I am surrounded by good." By choosing a new statement, you give the subconscious a new seed to grow, and because the subconscious cannot nurture two seeds at once, the stronger one takes root while the weaker one fades. This law explains why affirmations are so effective when practiced consistently. They are not about suppressing the old belief, but about introducing a new one that eventually takes its place. Just as fresh water poured continually into a glass of muddy water eventually clears it, so too does the constant substitution of truth cleanse the subconscious of falsehood. The more often you substitute, the more natural it becomes, until at last the old pattern has no ground left to stand on. The law of substitution is not a struggle but a shift. It is not resistance but redirection. When worry arises, you do not curse yourself for worrying. you shift your attention to faith. When anger rises, you do not condemn yourself for being angry. You replace it with calm, with forgiveness, with peace. With each substitution, the subconscious is gently trained to obey a higher command until the old commands lose their power entirely. The beauty of this law is that you need not master your subconscious through force. You only need to supply it with something better. Every time you choose light over darkness, truth over lies, faith over fear, abundance over lack, the subconscious responds to the new command and begins building your life upon it. This is the power of substitution, to replace the lesser with the greater until the greater alone remains. Expectancy is the silent force that opens the door for the subconscious to fulfill its command. To expect is to prepare inwardly for the arrival of what you have declared, as though its manifestation were already certain. It is more than hope, which wavers and questions. Expectancy is steady, confident, and sure. The subconscious responds not only to the words you speak, but to the attitude with which you carry them. And expectancy is the attitude that signals faith. When you expect, you create a space that must be filled. When you expect, you open the door wide for the unseen to enter the scene. Imagine a guest invited to dinner. If you truly expect the guest to arrive, you set the table, you prepare the meal, you make ready the house. In the same way, when you truly expect your desires to manifest, you prepare in thought, in feeling, and even in action. The subconscious, ever obedient, senses this readiness and moves to arrange conditions to match it. Expectancy is not waiting idly. It is active, vibrant, and magnetic. It pulls into your life the people, opportunities, and circumstances that align with what you have already welcomed in spirit. Doubt, on the other hand, closes the door. You may speak words of truth, but if you expect nothing, you receive nothing. The subconscious hears the hidden command of your doubt louder than the words of your lips. To say, "I am prospered," but to expect bills to pile up, is to issue two contradictory commands. The subconscious will obey the stronger, and it will usually be the one charged with the greater emotion, your doubt. But when you declare, "I am prospered," and you expect supply with calm assurance, the subconscious has no choice but to obey, for the command has been sealed with expectancy. This law is evident in every area of life. Those who expect to succeed, succeed, because their subconscious aligns their actions and perceptions to that end. Those who expect to fail, fail, because their subconscious faithfully produces what has been anticipated. It is not luck or chance, it is the law of expectancy. What you prepare for, you receive. What you anticipate, you attract. What you doubt, you delay. Expectancy is not arrogance, for it does not demand on its own terms. True expectancy is alignment with divine order. It is the quiet assurance that what belongs to you by right will arrive at the appointed time and in the perfect way. It is not anxious, nor hurried, nor restless. It waits with calm confidence, knowing the inner command has already been given, and the subconscious is at work to bring it to pass. Therefore, cultivate expectancy in all you do. When you speak words of truth, follow them with the posture of readiness. Prepare as though what you desire were already on its way. Expect peace, and peace enters. Expect abundance, and abundance appears. Expect health, and health blossoms. The subconscious responds faithfully to the atmosphere of expectancy, for it is the open door through which every answered command must walk. Alignment with divine order is the highest state in which the subconscious can be commanded, for it removes all strain, all struggle, and all fear of failure. When one is aligned with divine order, every thought, every word, and every act rests upon the certainty that life itself is intelligently guided. It is the awareness that there is an invisible harmony shaping all things, and when the subconscious is instructed to follow that harmony, It becomes a channel of unlimited good. The commands issued from such a place are not rooted in selfish will, but in the deep knowing that there is a perfect plan, already complete, already unfolding, and that your role is to align with it and allow it expression. To align with divine order is to cease forcing, pushing, or trying to bend circumstances by sheer human effort. It is to release the anxiety of control and step into trust. The subconscious mind, when it is directed from this posture, works without resistance. It is no longer carrying out contradictory instructions born from fear or ego, but is obeying a single, unified command that harmonizes with the larger rhythm of life. This is why alignment is so powerful. It erases the inner conflict that so often blocks manifestation. A divided mind cannot create harmony, but a mind at one with divine order can only produce harmony, for that is its very source. Those who align with divine order find themselves in the flow of right opportunities, right timing, and right relationships. What once seemed delayed or denied arrives with ease. Obstacles dissolve not because they were wrestled with, but because they no longer fit within the vibration of harmony. The subconscious, instructed to move in divine order, does not cling to limitation. It seeks the straight path, the path of least resistance, and aligns outer life to mirror the inner decree of order. This does not mean one is passive. On the contrary, it is a state of active receptivity. Alignment inspires right action. When one declares, "I am guided by divine order," it is not merely words, it becomes a compass for the subconscious, which then prompts inspired decisions, sudden insights, and clear steps forward. Life ceases to be a tangle of confusion and instead unfolds like a well-written story, each chapter arriving exactly when it is meant to. The subconscious thrives under such direction because it no longer has to struggle between competing instructions of fear and faith. It obeys the higher law of order, and everything else arranges itself accordingly. To live in alignment with divine order is to rest in the assurance that what is truly yours cannot be withheld, and that what is not for you cannot remain. This assurance permeates the subconscious with peace, and from that peace flows creativity, clarity, and power. Alignment frees the individual from the exhausting effort of making things happen, and allows the joy of allowing things to happen. When the subconscious is commanded from this posture, the results are not only swift but also perfect, because they carry within them the stamp of harmony. Thus, to align with divine order is to step into the stream of infinite intelligence, where every word spoken to the subconscious becomes a seed that grows in perfect season, producing not struggle, but fulfillment, not chaos, but peace, not delay, but divine right timing. The transformation of life through one command is not a poetic exaggeration, but a profound truth rooted in the laws of the subconscious. Life is continually shaped by the impressions we give to the deeper mind, and those impressions are carried out with absolute obedience. A single command, spoken with conviction, emotion, and faith, has the power to shift the entire trajectory of a person's life, because the subconscious does not measure the size of a command, it simply obeys it. It does not ask whether what you decree is small or great, possible or impossible. It only knows to accept the word impressed upon it and to bring it into form. History, both personal and collective, is filled with examples of those who changed everything with a single inward decree. One moment of realization, one bold affirmation, one unwavering statement of truth, and the course of destiny was altered. This is because the subconscious does not require a lifetime of instructions to be redirected. It only requires one clear command, repeated and reinforced, to establish a new foundation. Just as a ship shifts direction with a single turn of the rudder, so too can a life be redirected with one decisive word. The reason such transformation is possible is that the subconscious governs the patterns of thought, emotion, and action that create our reality. When a command is given with faith, it rewrites the inner program and the outer conditions follow. For example, when one commands, "I am whole, strong, and perfect," and impresses it upon the subconscious with expectancy, the body begins to reorganize itself to reflect health. When one commands, "I am richly supplied," the subconscious begins to attract opportunities, ideas, and resources that align with wealth. Life is transformed not because the outer world suddenly changes by accident, but because the inner directive that molds experience has been changed at the root. The power of one command also lies in its ability to collapse the power of years of negative thinking. Darkness may have filled a room for a century, but the moment a single light is turned on, the darkness vanishes instantly. In the same way, a lifetime of fear can be dissolved by a single command of faith if it is spoken with absolute certainty and allowed to take root. This is not the work of struggle or strain, but of clarity. When the subconscious is given one clear command, it organizes all its forces toward its fulfillment, and transformation begins. The greatest mistake many make is scattering their words, speaking one thing today and another tomorrow, issuing commands that contradict and cancel each other out. But when the word is singular, steady, and unwavering, the subconscious cannot help but bring it to pass. The transformation of life through one command is, therefore, not a matter of chance but of law. Speak the word, hold to it, and expect it, and life will align itself to reflect it. In that moment, the old gives way to the new, and what seemed impossible becomes inevitable. Such is the power of the subconscious, and such is the miracle of transformation born from a single command.